Who's stronger, the king of curses Ryomen Sukuna or the hero of hell Chainsaw Man? Both are legendary figures who draw immense power from fear, reshaping reality itself with their 4 deadly hands. These terrifying titans are notorious for leaving trails of absolute carnage in their wake, slicing everything in their paths to pieces. But what happens when the unkillable devil meets the unstoppable sorcerer? I'm going to be comparing True Form Sukuna from the Shinjuku Showdown to Black Chainsaw Man, awakened Pochita as he was when he fought Makima. Okay, hit that like button and let's get violent. Ryomen Sukuna, the king of curses, is more than just a legend. He is calamity incarnate, feared and worshipped in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. Once a human sorcerer, Sukuna became an unprecedented threat upon his transformation into a cursed object. Sealed away for centuries, Sukuna's 20 fingers were scattered to prevent his return, but now, fully reincarnated after the climactic battle with Satoru Gojo in Shinjuku, he's back at full, terrifying strength. Sukuna's physical might is almost incomprehensible compared to everyone else in Jujutsu Kaisen. Just by existing, he radiates enough cursed energy to freeze elite sorcerers in their tracks. A single casual strike from Sukuna sends special grade curses and seasoned fighters crashing through buildings like they're made of cardboard. His combat skills alone put him at the apex, effortlessly dodging and countering attacks that would obliterate lesser beings. But physical power is just the start. Sukuna's curse technique is devastatingly powerful, primarily due to its simplicity. His first ability is Dismantle, which creates invisible slashes mid-air that tear through physical matter, but have a set strength level. His second ability, Cleave, allows him to adjust the qualities of the slash, its strength, speed, and how it interacts with both physical matter and cursed energy, so he can cut through more durable opponents. After utilizing Maharaga's adaptation to overcome Gojo's infinity defenses, Sukuna discovered Strong Cleave, a slash that directly attacks the world itself, including anything that's within that space, essentially ignoring durability and hacks-related defenses. Beyond even that, the thousands of particles created through his slashes can then be ignited by his Divine Flame Furnace ability, an enormous explosion of fire that vaporizes almost everything it touches, and is explicitly stronger than even Jogo's flames. And that's all without mentioning his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine. Unlike every other sorcerer, Sukuna is able to generate his domain without a barrier, instead casting an enormous net across a 200-meter radius, with everything inside instantly subjected to the sure hit effect. Every single one of his slashes can and will land inside Malevolent Shrine, an unavoidable onslaught of lethal slashes. Beyond attack potency, Sukuna has mastered reverse cursed energy, reversing his massive reserves of destructive power, meaning any injuries he sustains heal almost instantly. In the heat of battle, he can regenerate lost limbs and recover from wounds that would annihilate most beings. Now, there are limitations to this. If the brain is destroyed, a sorcerer can no longer use cursed energy. This is also true of the stomach, but every other part of the body is fair game, including the seemingly vital organs like the heart or lungs. Sukuna is a beast. He basically ran a gauntlet of every major player in JJK, except for Yuki Tsukumo, of course, because Gege hates us. Look, my point is, Sukuna single-handedly overwhelmed Gojo, the strongest sorcerer alive. He killed our glorious blue-eyed king off screen. This guy truly is Satan's greatest soldier. Move over all for one. So, how does he match up against the hero of hell? Everyone's favorite simp, Chainsaw Man, is actually a hybrid between the human Denji Hayakawa and the chainsaw devil himself, Pochita, whose awakened form was first unleashed during his cataclysmic battle against Makima. In his true form, Pochita is a force of nature that terrifies even other devils. Sometimes called Black Chainsaw Man to distinguish between Denji's hybrid form, he was known throughout Hell for coming to the rescue of anyone who called for help, showing up and killing them in an instant. He was so powerful, it took the combined forces of all 4 of the horsemen of the apocalypse to defeat him. So, let's get into it. Chainsaw Man's strength is beyond monstrous. Effortlessly tearing through buildings, devils, and hybrids alike, his chainsaws rip apart enemies with ruthless efficiency. A mere accidental swing of his arm obliterates entire groups of enemies and devastates the terrain. He even casually flung massive chunks of concrete and debris at Makima, turning city streets into a war zone without even trying. But his speed is probably the most terrifying aspect of Chainsaw Man's arsenal. Known to strike opponents before they can even perceive him, he dismantled Makima's elite hybrids, each capable of reacting at supersonic speeds, instantly and effortlessly. This places his combat speed at least hypersonic, but some of his other feats show potentially relativistic levels of combat and movement speed. It's not uncommon for someone to square up to Pochita only to find themselves dead before they even know what happened. And importantly, Pochita has unparalleled regenerative abilities. He's nearly impossible to kill. Slice him to bits, burn him up, sever his head, it doesn't matter so long as his heart makes it out okay. Now, there is a limit to his stamina. Not unlike Sukuna's reverse curse technique, Pochita can only heal himself so many times before he runs out of energy. But he can replenish this energy mid-fight by drinking blood. Human, devil, animal, doesn't matter as long as it's red and ready to drink. Other than blood, one other thing affects Chainsaw Man's strength. Like all devils, he grows stronger the more people are afraid of him. And inversely, if people adore him, he grows weaker. All of that aside, Chainsaw Man has one of the scariest abilities in the entire series, concept erasure. By devouring a devil, he completely deletes their existence, removing the devil as well as the very concept from reality itself. Nazis, nuclear weapons, ears, different outcomes for humans instead of death, all erased as though they never existed, and wiped from everyone's memories as well. And funny enough, these devils aren't destroyed, they live on inside Pochita's stomach, meaning he can strategically barf them up in order to change the values of the universe in his favor. This power makes Chainsaw Man arguably the most feared being in his verse. And yet, Pochita's personality is puzzlingly childlike. His primary drive is fulfilling Denji's wishes, though distorted through his misunderstanding of human desires, leading to bizarre situations like kidnapping Kobeni for a twisted date, where he forces her to dance for hours on end. But, make no mistake, when Chainsaw Man decides to kill, his brutal efficiency is unmatched. His straightforward and relentless fighting style leaves no room for opponents to strategize or regroup. It's actually kind of insane that the most horrifying devil is also Denji's adorable little Twinkie-looking head-ass dog, but that's honestly nowhere near the weirdest part of Chainsaw Man. So, now that we've gone over each of our combatants, let's break down exactly how they stack up. Starting with attack potency, Sukuna has some great showings. When he first incarnates into Megami, he hits Yuji with an insane haymaker, launching him more than 700 meters, flying straight through an entire skyscraper and crashing into another building, creating a gigantic crater, with the force of about 100 tons of TNT. Although this is nothing compared to his greatest attack, the Divine Furnace. When he launched his fire arrow and opened the furnace in Shinjuku, it completely vaporized an entire section of the city, obliterating all the concrete and steel in about a 300-meter radius. This clocks in at something like 2 quadrillion joules, an unfathomably massive explosion. Now, I have heard one argument that would put Sukuna even higher. Gojo himself admitted after their battle that Sukuna was flat out stronger and sturdier than him, and that he likely would have lost even if Sukuna hadn't been using Megami's 10 Shadows. So, we should be able to scale Sukuna off of Gojo's best strength feats, and I've been told that his best feat was when he busted out of the prison realm located by the tectonic plates in the Japan Trench. Aura farming like crazy, he created an earthquake so powerful it was felt in the Saitama Prefecture, hundreds of kilometers away. This is a magnitude 5 earthquake, 7.5 on the Richter scale, 230 quintillion joules, that is island level. And Sukuna should outclass that, right? Not exactly. It's actually far more reasonable that this energy was a result of the prison realm opening and not from Gojo directly. We know this because we've seen Gojo go absolutely all out, 2 times all out actually, when he started the fight against Sukuna with a 200% hollow purple boosted by Arame. That tore through Shinjuku, obliterating a massive row of city blocks, 400 million cubic meters, 2 quadrillion joules, almost exactly as destructive as Sukuna's furnace, and this was Gojo's best attack, double. So, Gojo was right, Sukuna was straight up stronger than him, but unfortunately for him, neither of them are island level. As for Pochita, during his battle against Makima's hybrid army, he jumps and launches several of of them across the city, tearing through 5 skyscrapers like butter. This handily outclasses Sukuna's best punch by about 10 times, 1.4 kilotons of TNT. But Chainsaw Man's actual strength is something we have to define through scaling him to other opponents. We know that Makima herself admitted a fight against Chainsaw Man was absolutely unwinnable, and this is the same Makima that defeated a 20% Gun Devil. Now, the Gun Devil leaves behind massive destruction in its wake. Just floating in place, it flattened a gigantic portion of a forest, and by chasing after Makima all the way from Nikaho to Tokyo in a span of 3 seconds, it's generating a whopping 450 trillion joules just by moving its giant body around and tearing apart the infrastructure beneath it. That's the equivalent of over 20 kilotons of TNT. But I'm sure some of you think scaling Pochita against Makima and then Makima against the Gun Devil is a little wonky, but in canon, Pochita defeated each of the 4 horsemen and the Weapon Devils, which includes a 100% Gun Devil while he was in hell. He outscales all of them. So conservatively, I'm going to place his strength as capping out at a 100% Gun Devil. I know this is a lowball since he was stronger than the Gun Devil, but until we get better destructive feats, I'm placing Pochita's strength at 5 times that of the 20% Gun Devil, 100 kilotons of TNT. Which means that Pochita hits significantly harder than Sukuna, like by a massive margin, unless Sukuna is able to open his furnace, which is more than 4 times stronger than anything we've seen from Pochita or the Gun Devil, 470 kilotons of TNT. That's what makes it a special attack. Speaking of which, let's talk about hacks. Both characters have busted regeneration. Sukuna's reverse curse technique is the most formidable in the verse after only Gojo, allowing rapid healing of lost limbs and severe injuries from his nearly bottomless reserve of cursed energy. But if you wear him down or force him to use cursed energy for other things like defense or opening up his domain, he will run out eventually. After fighting Gojo and getting hit with that final hollow purple, he was covered in scars, missing an eye and an arm. He only healed from this fight to fight everybody else due to his cursed tool Kamitoke. And one more thing, we know that if his head is severed, brain damaged, or his stomach bisected, he would be unable to use reverse curse technique to heal himself again. These are the clear limits to his regeneration. In stark contrast, Chainsaw Man's durability and regeneration are near absolute. We've seen him be bisected, burned up, heart ripped out, and he always fully regenerated without external assistance. His heart is all that needs to remain undamaged, and it seems extremely durable on top of that. Beyond regeneration, they both have some offensive hacks as well. Sukuna possesses the world-cutting slash, or strong cleave as the internet likes to call it. It bypasses conventional durability, effectively slicing through everything within a defined space. Additionally, his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, guarantees instantaneous damage within a massive open radius, regardless of how fast or strong the enemy is, unless they counter with a simple domain. He also makes frequent uses of binding vows, self-imposed rules that allow him to break other rules that should be limitations upon him. We never actually learn what these vows he makes are, or if he ever suffers any negative effect from them, but theoretically, he could use a binding vow to remove the chant needed to summon his strong cleave. Then he could just pop open his domain and insta-spam 1,000 world-cutting cleaves right into Chainsaw Man's heart, tearing it apart, theoretically. Also theoretically, Pochita's concept erasure ability should be more potent and terrifying. By consuming devils, he completely deletes their existence from reality itself, including all memory and knowledge associated with them. Historical concepts as powerful as nuclear weapons and entire political ideologies were erased from the universe with a simple afternoon snack. But this doesn't really matter for the fight. If he manages to get Sukuna in a situation where he's getting eaten, Sukuna already lost. Although, theoretically, Pochita could strategically regurgitate one of the devils within his stomach to drastically alter the state of the fight by changing the very rules of reality, but that is such a ridiculous wild card that I wouldn't even know how to include it in a discussion like this, so I probably shouldn't have brought it up. Anyway, the main variables of hacks we need to discuss are Sukuna's use of domain expansion and strong cleave. Basically, Pochita hits a lot harder and has better regen, but Sukuna's strong cleave and furnace are both instant win conditions for him. What this all comes down to is who is faster. Will Sukuna have enough time to create enough particles with his slashes to fuel the divine furnace while avoiding Chainsaw Man's ridiculous attacks? Let's see. Sukuna consistently showcases massively hypersonic reaction speeds. During his battle against Jogo's maximum meteor technique, which travels at speeds exceeding Mach 10, about 7,600 miles per hour, Sukuna reacted effortlessly, dodging it seconds before impact. His casual blitzing of experienced sorcerers also places his movement speed comfortably within the hypersonic range. And Chainsaw Man is also fast as hell, no pun intended. His fight against Makima's elite hybrids demonstrated his ability to attack at speeds imperceptible, enemies known to react at supersonic speeds. I would calc them, but I have a much better example for you. When Makima blasted Pochita off the planet and up into space, just short of 2 million meters high, he found a way back that only an insane freak like Fujimoto could write. Pochita tore out his own heart, pitching it back down to Earth like a hypersonic baseball, regenerating his entire body from the single organ. He just yeeted it. The throw was insanely powerful. Assuming every panel in the manga takes a single second, he returned to the planet's surface in just under 10 seconds, an insane Mach 639, approaching relativistic levels. And even if our estimate is off and he's only half that fast, or even a quarter that fast, this immense speed advantage ensures Chainsaw Man is capable of closing distance and delivering decisive attacks far, far faster than Sukuna can reliably respond. Pochita moves so much faster and hits so much harder than Sukuna, it's extremely unlikely that there will be time to prepare the Divine Furnace and unleash it. The way this battle plays out is most likely a speed blitz, probably. Let's break this down into two scenarios, bloodlusted and in character. If Sukuna and Chainsaw Man are fighting bloodlusted, without hesitation, morality, or restraint, both combatants would unleash their maximum potential from the outset, each determined to annihilate the other as swiftly and brutally as possible. Sukuna would instantly deploy Malevolent Shrine. He wouldn't have time to open with a world-cutting slash because that requires a chant of 3 phrases to activate, and without prior knowledge of Pochita or how his abilities work, he wouldn't try to spam a binding vow either. His domain expansion is the best opening strategy because it guarantees unavoidable slashes within a massive 200-meter radius, an instant kill move for most enemies. On the off chance that he does start with a strong cleave, we've seen people dodge those world-cutting slashes. Sorcerer's far slower than a Mach 600 Pochita. No, Sukuna would open with Malevolent Shrine. Pochita would respond with his signature move, launching into a hug that shreds apart Sukuna with his 4 massive bladed arms. If any of Sukuna's slashes managed to reach Chainsaw Man before he lands the blow, he would easily regenerate through them, not unlike Maharaga did in Shibuya. And if Pochita's attack doesn't remove Sukuna's head or shred his stomach, his next several attacks will, ending it before the King of Curses can heal much at all. Pochita wins this scenario 9 out of 10 times. This fight really is a little more interesting in an in-character scenario. Sukuna is a heartless, hedonistic monster, but nothing excites him more than when he gets to have fun with someone he considers strong. Only time we've ever seen him be kind was when he's acknowledging the strength of an opponent. That said, he's notoriously arrogant and supremely confident in his own power. Throughout his appearances, he frequently begins fights by testing his opponent's strength with a mixture of casual melee attacks and low-level techniques, clearly reveling in his superiority. A prime example is his initial engagement with Jogo, where he opted for hand-to-hand combat before escalating his cursed energy attacks, fully confident he would dominate the fight at his leisure. It's very likely that he would start out by toying with Pochita, only to ramp it up once he realizes that the Black Chainsaw Man is also extremely powerful. Pochita as Chainsaw Man presents a starkly contrasting combat demeanor. Driven by an intense desire to fulfill Denji's perceived wishes, he acts with ruthless aggression and almost childlike misunderstanding of human interactions. Like I said, during his encounter with Makima's elite forces, his initial approach combined the weird date with Kobani and an instantaneous lethality when confronted with genuine threats. In this battle, Pochita disregards any form of hesitation or subtlety, attacking decisively and brutally the moment he perceives danger. And it should be noted that Sukuna is an unnaturally intelligent super genius in Jujutsu, while Pochita fights like an angry toddler. I did really consider whether or not Sukuna could buy himself enough time to pop open the furnace and catch Chainsaw Man off guard. And maybe if they met randomly in some sort of scenario where Pochita was focused more on doing something for Denji, I think this could be possible. His best bet would be catching Pochita in the heart with a world-cutting slash when he's not looking, which is unlikely. It's just not realistic in a battle scenario. in character, I'm still giving this one to Pochita 8 times out of 10. And lastly, just for funsies, I wanted to point out, Sukuna's Divine Furnace is more powerful than any attack we've seen Pochita dish out, but it might actually not be a win condition. Remember, Pochita's heart survived the heat and friction of re-entering Earth's atmosphere. Atmospheric re-entry temperatures range between 1650 and 3000 degrees Celsius, a heat level comparable to direct exposure to intense, sustained combustion. Having regenerated instantly from this catastrophic internal and external damage, Chainsaw Man demonstrates durability, possibly exceeding Furnace's maximum theoretical damage threshold. It's entirely possible that even the furnace wouldn't cook him. He could only go down from a strong cleave, which Sukuna just never gets the chance to dish out. So, after a bloody, reality-shaking confrontation, the hero of hell, Chainsaw Man, emerges victorious. Stay frosty.